not be more thrilled to spend time with Eric, guys, from Cerner, with all of you. You've already heard how incredible Cerner is from Aaron and Nate just before we came up. And I have to share with you something about Eric. Not only is he an incredible leader, Vice President of Intellectual Property, which really means engineering at Cerner, he is a dedicated father, an incredible husband, and an amazing leader at Cerner. He's been at Cerner for over 15 years. And for those of you that don't know, Cerner is the world's largest healthcare IT organization in the world. It sits at the intersection of healthcare and technology, which is so powerful for us to explore today. How many of you have filled out your form in the doctor's office with your most recent medical history? Quite a few? Yes. The core of Cerner's business is electronic medical records, and they are innovating at the speed of light to provide us with better health care for all of our loved ones. Eric, Cerner is really personal to you. You shared a great story with me because we have some things in common that we'd like to share with you. And I'd love for you to share your story about your daughters. We both have daughters, three 4-year-olds and 1 2-year-old between the two of us. And I'd love for you to share with the audience how Cerner impacted you and Jennifer's experience in the start of when they came into the world.
Sure, yeah, I have identical twin girls. They'll be 4 here in October. We delivered at a local hospital in Kansas City that's a full Cerner shop. One of the solutions that we offer is a women's health and fetal monitoring solution. So when you see your wife and your about to be born kids, hooked up to your solutions, you want to make sure they're reliable, it's working, the clinicians are happy and using it. So it definitely made an impact and made it more real, from my job that point going forward.
It's such an incredible story. We don't realize how personal healthcare is and what a role technology plays. We had heard from Nate and Aaron that you had actually been able to reduce the time of your onboarding of new dev talent. How do you do that at Cerner?
Yeah, so Cerner is a growth company, 25,000 people around the world, over 8,000 in different technology roles, 5,000 engineers. We hire several hundred people every year, and we put them through what we call Dev Academy, which is our onboarding program. It was very instructor-led, until we partnered with Pluralsight. So now we've been able to leverage a lot of the courses to make it more scalable for our different development centers around the world and to meet the large number of people that we're hiring. So we've been able to reduce our Dev Academy from around 8 weeks to 6 weeks, and that's gotten them more productive and onto the teams doing real work quicker.
It's amazing. Cerner has something else that's unique that we can learn from, and it's how they onboard your practices and bringing new talent into the organization. Are you hiring experienced developers or new college grads?
Our culture and strategy has really been to hire new college grads. We hire the occasional experience for certain expertise, but we've been pretty good at hiring straight out of college campus, putting them through our Dev Academy, providing them good tools and processes and mentorship and things to continue to learn. And that's really allowed them to grow very quickly. And then we also continue to change technologies and try to stay current, so we move people around, put them on different projects, and give them opportunities.
This is amazing. So Cerner is able to bring in young graduates and grow them through the whole life cycle at Cerner. I mean, Eric has been there over 15 years. What would you say the average tenure is for your developers, and how have you seen that impact the business, given that they can grow from the start of their career all the way with Cerner?
Yeah, I'd say our average tenure is probably in the 3 to 5 year range. As you know, there's definitely a lot of people that we're hiring. It's also a very competitive market out there. Some people like to live in Kansas City. Other people live in Kansas City for a period of time and then go to the coast. So we definitely hire a large amount of people and continue to train them and retain them. And a lot of the learning and things that we've put in place with the culture and the new campus and Pluralsight has definitely helped a lot with seeing the path for a good career, good opportunity, and helped with retention.
The coolest thing I thought in our conversation is that you have big projects coming up. Thankfully, Cerner is working with the VA and the Department of Defense. Thankfully, there's a new project that they just got in Sweden, and you don't have to look anywhere else but inside your own organization, which is 6,000 engineers strong. So what is that like for you to find this bench and be able to put them on your best projects?
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, healthcare is growing. There's a lot of market opportunity. There's tons of demand that we've got to meet. We've got a good list of leaders and experts and continue to move people around and retool them to meet the future demand. We're going into our 18 planning process now. As Anita mentioned, the VA and Sweden are big opportunities that have a lot of unique requirements that we need to go deliver. So it's kind of next man up, who wants to take on the next opportunity.
What else would be helpful for our audience to know about Cerner's technology practices? Nate shared that board and how many lives have been saved. How is it to connect technology to improving lives and uplifting the human condition? The reason why I love Eric and Cerner is because our missions are so tightly aligned. How have you seen the mission and impact of that on your teams?
Yeah, as Anita mentioned, everybody's going to interact with the healthcare system in some form. Hopefully it's a good experience, but we're all getting older. People are having kids, people get hurt, people have to go to the hospital, the clinic, so you're always going to interact with it in some way. So we try to make sure that people understand the technology, but also understand the domain that they're working in. Are they working with nurses, physicians, pharmacists, registration, laboratory, all the different departments around the healthcare setting? Make sure they get experiences to understand how users are using their solution. They can shadow and watch people using their solutions remotely. We do a lot with our UX team on understanding how people are using the solutions and how can we continue to improve it.
Human-centered design is a big part of what you're doing and how you're taking an older industry that isn't as technology savvy. Think about your doctors and your nurses and the people caring for our loved ones in these different clinics. How is it to bring them into this new age of technology that actually improves outcomes for patients?
Yeah, it's a very, very large change management effort. You're taking a lot of manual processes, people that are used to doing things on paper, writing orders, writing documentation, filling out forms, and now you're automating all that and making them use technology. So they want a good user experience, they want it to work, they want it to be fast, and we have to make sure that the technology is not getting in the way of what they need to do, because they really have to focus a lot on the change management aspects, and we want the technology to be really seamless.
What advice would you give to people in the audience about how your practices have enabled what you're describing?
Yeah, so I would say we've got good partnership with our learning organization within our development organization and hosting, good partnership to really leverage tools. We like to focus on people, tools, and process. So Pluralsight's the tool that we leverage for a lot of our continual learning and new onboarding, but there's also other aspects in the people and process part that you have to do to really make sure you're staying ahead of the cutting edge.
What are the things that you're thinking about in staying ahead of the leading edge? Improving your tools and processes. What else are you doing that the audience would be helpful for them to know?
I'd say, I think Aaron mentioned security, so that's a good example lately where we were doing a lot of instructor-led, a lot of maintenance of our own documentation. I'm sure other folks are doing similar things. We've kind of revamped some of our courses now to leverage a lot of the Pluralsight content, and now we can scale and get many more people through security training at a much faster pace. So really, there's targeted programs based on certain technologies and certain initiatives where we need to go get broad-scale learning quickly.
Especially with the amount of personal healthcare information that you have, security is really key. You also have access to a great amount of data that your patients give into Cerner. How are you leveraging that data to improve the technology and then improve the outcomes for your customers?
Yeah, so just like Nate mentioned with user analytics related to learning, healthcare is going through the same thing. We've now automated a lot of data, aggregated a lot of data. Now, how can we best use it and perform analytics around it? And then also try to take that analytics and embed it within the workflow real time. So you can save lives at the point of time versus having retrospective reports and analytics that you're running when the patient's already gone through the healthcare process.
Boy, next time I go to the hospital, the first thing I'm going to ask is your technology powered by Cerner?
Good. It's what we want.
So we were talking about this yesterday, and it would be great for those of us that have Alexa, if we could say, Alexa, we're going to the doctor next week, please update my form. Machine learning and artificial intelligence can play a big role in our future. How do you see that impacting what you're doing at Cerner?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really big focus of ours right now. We've got a lot of usage of our solutions. We've spent the last 5 or so years getting a lot of adoption of new capabilities. Now, how do you make it more intelligent, smarter for the user? So artificial intelligence and those types of things, how can we leverage some of those technologies with the data that we already have and try to make it smarter, more intelligence, and put more cognitive within the workflow?
Yeah, so Eric is just getting a taste with our skill analytics within Pluralsight. So how do you see Pluralsight being able to take a role in perpetuating AI and machine learning for Cerner?
Yeah, I think it's going to help a lot because it has been hard with the size of our population to really understand the skills. We've done a lot of maintenance in spreadsheets and things in the past of what skills and things do people know. To be able to automate that within Pluralsight and then really understand if you're starting a new initiative, what skills and technologies are you going to need? You can go survey your population, understand where you're at, track the progress as you continue to push learning programs across the organization. So I think it's going to make it much more flexible and scalable for us.
Something that we talked about yesterday that I just have to bring up here is the partnership between your learning organization and the technology organization. And you shared something with me yesterday that was really impactful that I don't think is common for most organizations, and it's how you lead those initiatives and combine them together for your outcomes for Cerner. Can you talk a little bit about how you partner with the learning organization?
Sure. And Aaron mentioned this up front. It's hard for an HR and learning organization to scale to meet all of the needs. So our learning team is around 2 people, supporting, thousands of folks. So we really partner with them. They help drive a lot of initiatives for us, help drive a lot of processes, but we provide people from the business. We pull people off of projects to really support, so we've got Andy here leading a lot of our security initiatives. He partners with the learning organization to help drive leveraging a security learning program that we can go scale across thousands of people. So it's definitely a partnership versus us looking at the HR and learning team, expecting them to do everything for us.
Yeah, I think that's so critical. Oftentimes we look to these other teams, even within our own orgs, like, oh, security will handle security. Development will handle development. And really what I recognize and appreciate about Eric as a leader is you see yourself as a leader that is responsible for all of it. And learning is a part of the propeller that helps all of that flow together.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very focused on continuous improvement, continuous learning. It's part of our culture across all businesses within Cerner, not just the technology-oriented businesses. But I'd say it's more impactful to the technology-oriented business because the pace of change is picking up, in fact, going faster and faster.
You have 2 other core businesses, core, electronic medical records is your core, but you have 2 other focus areas. Would you like to share a little bit about those?
Sure. So we focus a lot in the device connectivity space as well, so connecting laboratory devices, pumps, those types of things. So we've got medical records, the device connectivity, as well as we're into the population health and the consumer space. So we mentioned the big data kind of platform and analytics. We're also developing a lot of consumer applications and trying to develop an open ecosystem with APIs and Smart on Fire and different standards that are starting to emerge to really allow more companies to really go innovate and more clients to innovate on our platform.
This is really amazing. So you've built a platform that other people can integrate in and build on top of. How do you see that perpetuating the speed at which the technology you're building can advance faster?
Yeah, I think it's going to exponentially advance because there's a lot of good ideas clients have. I wish I had all the capacity to deliver all the good ideas that come my way, but you never have that, so you focus and deliver what you can. But if you can create extension points and ways for others to go innovate on your platform, healthcare needs something like that. We need to accelerate innovation at a faster pace to really improve saving lives, lower the cost, all the things that you hear about in the different articles.
Accelerating innovation is something critical for all of us in the room. What are the things that are you doing to accelerate that innovation that would be useful for us to know?
I'd say really just focusing on your 3 to 5 year plan. What's your vision? What's your strategy? What's your roadmap that you're trying to deliver? Do you have good processes around having the right talent in place? Do you have good learning techniques in place? Do you have the right number of leaders and experts in different areas? All those things are a big focus for us right now as we start our planning process for next year and really the next 3 to 5 years.
I love that you brought up mission and vision and driving. How far out does Cerner look when planning ahead for the future?
We try to focus on the 3 to 5 years. Some things, you farther out, you don't know quite as much. It's harder to predict, but technology changes. Some projects, as much as I'd love to get them done in a 12-month time frame, some of them more realistically are a 3-year journey, and some of them are never ending, things like security. So we're doing a lot within security today. Security is going to continue to evolve, and there's going to be more things next year, the year after, and 3 years after that we're going to have to continue to stay current, make sure our people have the learning to really go deliver and make sure we're doing what's needed.
Eric, we're so grateful for you. You've been an incredible gift to Pluralsight and to this audience. Your leadership, what Cerner's doing, how you've partnered with Pluralsight, we're really grateful. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you. It's been a great partnership. Have a good conference.
Yeah.
All right.